通过刚才圆桌讨论的案例分享，通过刚才圆桌讨论的案例分享，通过刚才圆桌讨论的案例分享，通过刚才圆桌讨论的案例分享。这个环节由物联网商业生态联盟创始人斯图尔特·克莱纳主持，请各位嘉宾使用同声传译耳机。圆桌讨论的案例分享。这个环节由物联网商业生态联盟创始人斯图尔特·克莱纳主持，请各位嘉宾使用同声传译耳机。这个环节由物联网商业生态联盟创始人斯图尔特·克莱纳主持，请各位嘉宾使用同声传译耳机。这个环节由物联网商业生态联盟创始人斯图尔特·克莱纳主持，请各位嘉宾使用同声传译耳机。
Ni hao. Welcome to this first Open Talk session. I'm Stuart Craner, co-founder of Thinkers 50 and director of the Business Ecosystem Alliance. Thank you for joining us. This session has a few minutes in Mandarin when we have input from Zhang Rui Min, CEO of Hire. These will be subtitled. We have translation into Japanese available by selecting your language with the interpretation button. So, one of the things which has always fascinated me is how ideas are developed and how they can spread throughout the world, changing individual and organizational behavior as they go. And related to this, how can ideas catch on and stay the course? How can they impact the world for a long period and become accepted best practice? In the end, it is ideas which survive, not organizations. Think of an idea like double entry bookkeeping, which was first described by Luca Pacioli, a friar in 15th century Italy, and is still put into practice by organizations everywhere in the world. Or think of the ideas behind total quality management in the 1980s, or lean manufacturing in the 1990s, which are now accepted management practice worldwide. In the 21st century, Hire's philosophy of Rendanheyi has the potential to become one of those ideas which makes the leap to global practice. This session will bring you up to date on how Rendanheyi is being communicated, embraced, adapted, and adopted worldwide. Already, there are 10 global Rendanheyi research centers. The Rendanheyi model has enabled more than 325,000 enterprises across 15 industries in 74 countries and regions. Those are the numbers. This session will provide you with the stories and the background. In this session, our initial focus will be on the introduction of the certification of Rendanheyi, a world first. Our friends from the European Foundation for Management Development will explain how this works, what it means, and we will celebrate the first company to be certified. Inaugurating the Global Rendanheyi Certification Center marks a major step forward in the global embrace of the philosophy. Then we will hear from the Rendanheyi centers around the world, from Menlo Park to Rome and their latest work. It's my pleasure to hand over to Martin Mueller, Director of Corporate Services at the EFMD, who will explain how Rendanheyi certification works. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you, Stuart. And hello, good morning and good afternoon to everybody. I have the pleasure to provide some background information on our certification system, which we inaugurate today. And I will share my screen for that. So some information on us, EFMD. We're a 50-year-old membership organization with almost 1,000 members in more than 90 countries. Our mission is to promote excellence in management education and management development, and we offer a number of quality management schemes, be they accreditations or certifications. We have now collaborated with the Higher Model Research Institute for about a year in designing this RDHY certification system. And here just a couple of thoughts on what that system is all about. It is providing certifications for management innovation in the Internet of Things era. And it looks at two dimensions which we see of relevance. First, it looks at self-organization capabilities of an organization that is transforming, and it, on the other side, looks at value expansion capabilities. And receiving a certificate from within this system means the organization is transforming on its way to becoming an ecosystem organization adapted to thrive in the IoT era. And traditional legacy management systems have been built on the assumption of stability and predictability. And Rendanheyi, however, is built on the assumption of ongoing change and the need to ongoingly adapt and respond to change, to see change as much as an opportunity than a threat, and to enable an organization to thrive in VUCA times. And you see on the right 4 principles that Rendanheyi is following. The first is that the maximization of human value is the overall mission and will replace shareholder value maximization as the primary goal. It sees the need to overcome bureaucracy and to promote self-organization, not to manage people, but to liberate them to become autonomous entrepreneurial people, and not to see efficiency from a scientific management point of view as dominant, but value creation. Who would be in scope for such a certification? We would see all kinds of organizations, be it non-profit or for-profit companies, organizations, or only parts of organizations, strategic business units, be they geographies or divisions that are experimenting and exploring new management practices. And the benefits that a certification can provide are threefold. First, you get an unbiased outside-in view on your transformation story, where you stand now and where you could go next. You gain credibility internally if you are just exploring and practicing new management innovations in parts of the organization, and the legacy organization might look at you with some critical eyes. If it's not a corporate enterprise-wide transformation yet, that might provide you really with credibility that this all has some sense. And you are getting access to a community of other innovating organizations and like-minded people who are transforming their organizations. What's the size of the market? Stuart said that Higher has been in contact with over 320,000 companies and organizations that have shown an interest in Rendanheyi. The Higher Model Research Institute assesses about 9,000 to be in scope for that certification. We have taken the liberty to already take 8 documented cases of transforming organization and map them on the matrix, which I will introduce in a minute. We call the system as an open system. We define the certification system as open and not closed. We have a first certification scheme built on the scorecard, the Rendanheyi Scorecard, but we would foresee in the future additional certification schemes to be launched, which will be interdependent. For example, looking at organizational culture or at organizational support systems, for example, how you account and do accounting practices within an ecosystem. The EFMD portfolio of certifications comprises currently 7 schemes, which you see on the left. The RDHY certification will be our 8th certification scheme, and it will be the first one that assesses companies exploring management innovation in the Internet of Things era. We will launch an RDHY certification center, and it will be hosted within EFMD to offer these RDHY certification services. And we will collaborate with the Business Ecosystem Alliance and the Rendanheyi research centers in delivery of these services. Just to go back to the basic foundational ideas that underpin the Rendanheyi management model, you see here Ren, Dan, and Hey as 3 elements that come together. The Ren are the liberated entrepreneurial employees that identify and deliver excellent user experience, create user value, which is shared as the Hey. And Higher Group has developed a scorecard, which is simplifying in very practical terms how you can really evolve into a ecosystem organization. And these 2 dimensions of this scorecard will be explained in some more depth on that slide, and we will have CEO Zhang Rumin talk to us shortly about these dimensions. We have on the vertical a dimension which reflects on the organizational practices, people and organizational practices within an organization. And on the horizontal axis, we see market practices, market and user interface practices. And you can evolve on both and should evolve on both dimensions to become an ecosystem organization and experience exponential growth. We, as an outcome of the certification, would assess where an organization is on its journey along these 2 dimensions. And if you begin the journey, you still are in the explorer box. If you advance on your organizational practices with decentralization, self-organization, then you move towards the challenger box. If you more are developing a platform and become an ecosystem organization without necessarily yet challenging your organizational practices, you move into the innovator box. And if you have advanced on both dimensions, you develop into the leader box. How to apply for this certification scheme? This is a screenshot of our efmdglobal.org website. You go here on the tab assessments and you see what you see here. You can here get in touch. We will also on the Business Ecosystem Alliance website and on the rendanheyi.com website have links. And you see here the address already, the web address on the left. The process itself goes through the following steps. There is an application phase which clarifies requirements. You would have, as a candidate organization, to provide some information on the organization and on your transformation journey in some structured manner, which is already provided you in a form. We would expect you to self-assess yourself against the standards and criteria that we have developed that underpin these 2 dimensions of the scorecard. That's 3 to 5 pages. So we don't want this to be an overall time-consuming, paper-pushing exercise, but still the self-assessment should help you to reflect yourself against these standards and see how you are performing against them. And that's followed by an external review by 2 certification experts drawn from a pool of experts who would do a couple of interviews with you and stakeholders within the organization to then come to an assessment where you stand, provide you with a feedback on strengths and areas of focus and some guidance for the way forward, and you would be provided the certificate. In addition, there is an opportunity to be in continuous engagement with one of the Rendanheyi research centers, which could help you, coach you, consult you, train with you on further advancement along the transformation that you engage in. So that's here my input at this point, and I would be very pleased now to introduce the father of Rendanheyi, Chairman and CEO Zhang Rumin, to share with us his ideas.
生态组织呢，它完全是开放的、无边界的，而且呢，它是各种成员都可以进来，所以这个生态组织呢，它本身就是不断在变化，和传统的是完全不一样。所以说呢，这个生态组织体现了什么呢？体现了物联网的一个非常重要的概念，就是不再有传统组织里头的主体和客体，所有的人都是主体。那传统的组织里头呢，领导者是主体，被领导者是客体，但是在生态组织里头，所有的人都是平等的，大家都是主体。传统的企业呢，它是这个产品价值。我们为什么把价值分了3段呢？第一段呢是这个价值不是产品的价值，而且是以产品为载体产生一个新的价值。比方说智慧家庭，智慧家庭里头有各种各样的产品，不同行业的产品，但是不是看这个产品的价值，而是产品组合起来产生的这个体验价值。这个呢就和传统的是完全不一样了。比方说智慧家庭这个生态价值产生这个新价值之后呢，看用户能不能接受，这就是传递价值。传递到了用户接触之后呢，最后大家可以来分享这个价值之后呢，再回来再创造新的价值。这个价值是这么无限的循环的。最重要的是第一象限这个探索者和最后一个现象引领者，这2块呢是最重要的。探索者呢，他真的需要什么呢？需要来体现出这个组织呢能够自我颠覆，就是哪怕在很小的一个生态、很小的一个生态领域里头，你可以成为一个引领者。它有很多的小企业，比方说就是做一个轴承的，就是做一个某一个连接件的，但是在这一方面，它在全世界是做的最好。但是现在呢，需要这些产品呢转化为网器，转化为物联网的一个载体，那他们觉得就比较困难。所以说呢，我们如果做成一个在不同的领域里头的细分的生态里头做成引领者，我觉得对很多这种产品质量非常好的这些国家，不管像德国了、日本了，可能都是一个非常大的转变。完全站在那些企业的角度上，怎么样通过人单合一的认证呢，让他们给他们来赋能。
I have now the pleasure to introduce my good friend Eric Corniel, President of EFMD, who will now officially inaugurate the Global RDHY Certification Center.
Thank you very much, Martin. Dear Jean-Grémine, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, EFMD is proud to deepen its collaboration with the Higher Group and its Higher Model Research Institute that we started last year, and to become the home for the Global RDHY Certification Center. We will invite all relevant stakeholders, such as the Business Ecosystem Alliance and the International Rendanheyi Research Centers, to play a part in the center's governance. The center will start its work with the launch and administration of the RDHY Scorecard certification scheme. The scorecard is a disruptive and creative tool for management innovation, and it nicely portrays the Rendanheyi management philosophy along two dimensions. We love the simplicity and practicality of the scorecard that we translated into standards and criteria for management excellence in the IoT era. We are happy to confer today the first certificate to an exemplary transforming organization. EFMD values in all its accreditation and certification schemes the diversity of approaches, yet combines this with a clear view on shared goals and proven principles of effective management. This will also be true for the 8th certification scheme, and we will now offer on the global level. And RDHY certification is the first of its kind to provide management innovation certification for organizations in the IoT era. We are looking forward to supporting the standardization of management innovation and to accompany many organizations, small and large, on their transformation journey. And we are confident to see spillover effects to our many academic members that will get curious to include Rendanheyi in their curriculum. I'm pleased to announce that Rendanheyi Global Certification Center is officially launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. We will now play an inauguration video. And I have now the pleasure to announce that we have a first certified organization. And this is, if I share my screen correctly, this is Fujitsu Western Europe. So we are very happy that Fujitsu Western Europe has gone successfully through the certification process as first organization. We will shortly introduce the case. We have assessed them to be in the challenger box, and we will now see a signing video of the first certificate. And now, Stuart, back to you.
Thank you very much to Martin, Eric, and CEO Jiang-Rui Min from Hire. Now we are delighted to be joined by João Domingos, who leads Fujitsu Western Europe. João, thank you for joining us and congratulations on being the first organization to receive Rendanheyi certification.
Hi, Stuart. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure actually to see that video. I hadn't seen it before, so great stuff. Thank you.
So what first ignited your interest in Rendanheyi? How did you come across the idea in the first place?
So we have, as many companies, business challenges, and I think one of them is how we deal with change and how we make our customers more satisfied and our employees also engaged. And it was actually 2 years ago by listening to CEO Jiang-Rui Min in the Peter Drucker forum that I sort of connected the dots. And I thought that the micro enterprises concept and Rendanheyi could be a good way to do it. And then with the support of Just, which also is with us, and the Corporate Rebels team, we started to explore the concept. So it's a search for speed, a search for more customer satisfaction, and this relentless reinvention of our organizations that sort of triggered the thoughts to it.
As João said, we're also joined by Joost Minnaar, who's the co-founder of Corporate Rebels, which champions innovative working environments throughout the world. Joost, welcome. So what is your take on Fujitsu's embrace of Rendanheyi?
Good morning, Stuart. Good morning, João. Good to see you here. I think it's interesting that obviously we already knew that some parts of Rendanheyi were already scaled to other cultures, like we have seen in GA and Higher Russia and Sangyo in Japan, for example. But with Fujitsu, we actually have the first case of another company outside of the higher ecosystem that is actually adopting at least parts of Rendanheyi. What is interesting is that I think that they show that the performance results of their first pilots are pretty impressive. So yeah, I think there's three big things or three interesting points I want to make about Fujitsu's or João's transformation. And the first thing is that actually they transformed much on themselves. So it's very nice of you, João, that you tell us that we helped you, but I think we only helped you by explaining the concepts of Rendanheyi to you, and actually the real transformation you have driven yourself without much external help. Then I think it's interesting that they only took elements of the Rendanheyi model, so not the complete solution. They have adopted only the elements that fit into the culture of Fujitsu and the corporate culture of Fujitsu, and probably also the European culture. And they have piloted and they slowly start to change and scale that from within. So it's not Rendanheyi. We should not see Rendanheyi as a copy-paste model that you can introduce from day one into your company, but rather like an inspirational model where you can take elements that work for your own organization, but not necessarily all.
And João, what are the performance results of embracing Rendanheyi? Can you share those with us?
Yeah, of course, Stuart. So we are in this journey for 18 months. So I have results of the close of last year. And we measure mostly 3 metrics. So we measure financial performance, customer satisfaction, and also employee engagement. And if you allow me to start with employees, we saw a 10-point increase in our employee engagement, or close to that. So we were at around 60, 63, 64 points, and we moved to 72, 73, something around those numbers. So percentage of engaged employees, which we found quite interesting as the response was really immediate. On customer satisfaction, we measure also from our customers what we call the Net Promoter Score. I think this is very common use in a lot of industries. And what we have seen there is that we have been able to reduce actually to 0 the number of detractors. So this is the customers that on a scale from 0 to 10 give you a score lower than 6. And we have also increased the number of promoters, so scores above 8. So we are quite happy with the increases there. And in several of our micro enterprises, mostly connected with the digital business side of Fujitsu, we saw that we have, in some cases, doubled and tripled the size of business. And in the cloud space, which is also another important part of the micro enterprises ecosystem that we have created, we saw significant double-digit growth and above market rates. So we're quite pleased with that.
And where does the process go next? I know you talked to the forum last year, and lots happened in the last year, but where are you going next with the embrace of Rendanheyi?
So I think, as Joost mentioned, we are now bringing the Rendanheyi concept to other parts of our business, trying to create other micro enterprises, testing the concept. As I mentioned in a couple of interviews I've already done, for us this is a journey. It's not we're not implementing a new management dogma, so we're testing this in other parts of our business, and we have this year introduced. We initiated with 14. We're now above 20 micro enterprises that we have created, and we'll continue to do that. Will we get to a point where the entire company will shift? I don't know yet, but that's the journey, and that's where we're headed.
Zhao, thank you very much. Joost, you've been working on a book about Rendanheyi. Will it feature Fujitsu and the Fujitsu story?
Yeah, yes, indeed. Yes, it will cover, first of all, the most recent developments of hire in China, mostly about the EMC contract, the three-wing bird concepts, the scenario concept. These are all, I think, relative new developments of the last 2 years. But in addition, we will highlight around 10 cases of businesses around the world that have adapted at least parts of Rendanheyi. And Fujitsu is obviously one of them, because they are, I would say, pioneering this space worldwide.
Thank you, Joost. This is a global broadcast, and there's global interest in Rendanheyi. We've got people watching from China, Turkey, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, UAE, Austria, the United States, Brazil, and elsewhere. And now we turn from Rendanheyi certification to the work of the Rendanheyi centers throughout the world. First, let us go to Silicon Valley, or more precisely, Menlo Park, and Annika Steiber, who's a professor at Menlo College and who heads the Silicon Valley Rendanheyi Center. Welcome, Annika. I know it's very late in the evening or early in the morning your time. It'd be great to get an update and a quick tour of your activities.
Thank you very much, Stuart, for that nice introduction. Yes, it's midnight over here. And good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you and to let you know a little bit what's happening from Silicon Valley. We are focusing on management innovation in the IoT era, and the Rendanheyi concept is one of those absolutely leading concepts that we now mission in North America. We are offering a number of services already. We are actually only 1 year old. We started last year, but so far we have already provided almost 10 free webinars on the absolute latest management trends. And we also do online interactive executive courses. We started with the new principles of management. And today we focus more and more on transformation, business transformation, because we learned that a lot of business leaders today, they need both. They need to be guided where they are heading and also how to do it. We also develop university courses, and we have our own students taking courses on Rendanheyi, and we hope that we're going to have and inspire other business universities to copy part of our educational material. And we develop white paper and do corporate programs and much more. So far, we have had a fantastic result. As I said, we have been less than a year established, and so far we have reached over 1,000 participants all over the world already, from actually over 60 countries. And I think it's partly depending on the international hub that Silicon Valley is. Silicon Valley is an important hub for many parts in the world. We see that we actually can attract a lot of people, not only from the US, but from all over the world. It's absolutely leading corporate brands that have been attending so far, but also top tier university brands, which we're absolutely thrilled to see that is sharing our request. Right now, we have been conducting almost 7-month research on another absolutely fantastic transformation, which is GE Appliances. And it has resulted in a white paper, and it's also going to be resulted in a book that is coming out soon. And I cannot say less than the transformation they have done in less than 5 years is absolutely mind-blowing. They have done a 180-degree pivot of their culture, leadership, and organization. And if you want to learn more, I would definitely recommend you to take part of the session on GE Appliances with the leading, world-leading researcher, Edgar Schein, in a couple of hours, and you will be able to meet us again. So thank you from Silicon Valley.
Thank you, Annika. And now in our world tour to Thailand and the work of the Rendanheyi Center there, led by William Malik. I know there have been some great experiments in Thailand with Rendanheyi. Please, can you let us know more, William?
Ni hao, welcome everybody. Thank you for having me. Just a little bit about who we are. We are obviously a collaboration with HMI, which we truly enjoy and have learned a lot from. And our mission is to look at how to help transformation of enterprises, both small and large, in the application of the practices and the principles that come with it. So we're really focused on what do you do? How do you make this happen? And in this context, what we've been able to do, we have one large client that we're working with right now. We're about halfway through the program. And fundamentally, it's about a 6-month learning process, but it's action-based. So there's small projects that they're actually trying to define, hopefully to turn those into micro-enterprises, because the best way of learning about Rendanheyi is doing it. So with that, we essentially have kind of what I call a micro MBA in Rendanheyi, where we cover systematically cover the entire system from culture, strategy, systems, so that the mindset can be picked up and absorbed by these teams who are attempting to endeavor the whole journey of micro enterprises. So with this, we're very excited about this. We hope to have more of a report later on this as they begin to adapt and move their demonstration projects into another level of change within their organization. So we have a very strong orientation to action learning, as I said. We're trying to allow companies and participants and practitioners to apply, and Rendanheyi at a certain level, while there's no rules, if you would, for a microenterprise, you would be shocked as to what kind of complexity might arise for a team that's trying to actually establish lifetime value for the user. We're using global HMI experts, such as the folks here on this panel, to really bring in a very diverse set of perspectives. And we don't always agree on everything, but usually it's highly creative. And people learn even more as we expand our minds even further in the concepts of Rendanheyi. Again, it's designed for experiments, kind of the design of experiments. Think of innovation, where if you experiment more, you will learn faster. So we're really trying to allow this orientation of emergent learning, since this is brand new for many companies trying to absorb this new DNA. The second thing we're doing is we're looking at the new standard of innovation management systems called ISO 56002, which is actually a capabilities kind of framework, which is giving guidance that will support the upcoming release of the actual certification of 56,000. primarily, the opportunity here is that we have kind of reverse engineered, if you would, the benchmarks of performance in all of the systems, processes, and practices we've been able to observe and gain from HMI and establish a capability assessment. And this is really about focusing on the internal aspects of an organization with respect to their innovation management processes. One of the companies we're working with is Make, and you will hear more today. I will have a great conversation with the CEO of Make, and I'll go over more with what we're doing there through a very provocative question and answer period with them. So I'll save that for later. If you're interested, we'll have that later in the day. And the last thing that we're doing, is, as they say, sharing is caring. We also have monthly webinars, and we've had a good 7 or so already. Very powerful turnout. We get on the average between 50 to 70 local senior executives in the Thai market, and we're very happy to have an ongoing dialogue with them. Lots of interests and lots of things evolving there. So we're looking forward to the rest of the year. So thank you for that very short intro. And now back to you, Stuart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, William. Now we return to Europe for an update on the work of Simone Cicero and his team at Boundaryless in Italy. Simone, thank you for joining us. Please could you introduce viewers to your work?
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. And you should see my screen, right? My slides. And just confirm. Yes, thank you. So first of all, let me say that we are very much enthusiastic of being part of this network and work with all of you. It's been a great learning opportunity, to work with Higher and with all the other research centers with which we have been collaborating so far. So just a quick review of what we do and how we are embodying, let's say, the mission of the Rendanheyi Open Source Research Center. We choose to be active in open source because this is what we do at Boundaryless. We have this mission of enabling everyone to participate in the future of organizing, and so we are basically embodying it in terms of, when it comes to Rendanheyi, in terms of doing research in a very open way, as we will see in a minute. We are developing frameworks, open source frameworks released in Creative Commons so that you can always use it on your own with commercial and non-commercial efforts. We also teach a masterclass that is essentially built around the basics of Rendanheyi, and it's been a pleasure to develop together with the HMI. And we do advisory, of course, to companies. We're working at the moment with large and small organizations, and we also help the other research centers to deliver these value proposition and this help to other companies in the world. And we're also now approaching the idea to develop technologies to support this transition. I'm going to say a few words at the end in preparation of the coming sessions. Just a quick recap, the 3.0 framework that we have released a few months ago, 1 year ago, more or less. It's now available in a draft 1.0 version that you can download from our website. I've shared some links in the chat for you to check, but essentially is a way to basically make an open source version of Rendanheyi that you can engage with, and we are enriching these in the months coming up. Also, an adoption guide is due soon, and some contract templates that we are developing for you to engage with value adjustment mechanisms and EMCs on your own. Then, of course, as I said, we have this masterclass. We've been training and certifying more than 200 people so far, and there's another one coming up. So you should, if you are interested in getting really the basics and the core of Rendanheyi, you can look it up. And finally, in terms of our research priorities, you can also follow our publishing work, and we have more than 10 webinars that we have been running with experts and adopters such as Make, Zappos, or Fujitsu itself on our YouTube, and some of our blog posts that explore the edges of Rendanheyi and the connections of Rendanheyi with other very important topics that we believe are central, such as business model innovation or other elements such as new landscapes of growth that companies can seek for. Finally, just a couple of words on the most important projects that we are running now. I would say we arrived to this idea that to really embrace the transition towards Rendanheyi, you have to have the support of specific technologies, and I mean essentially software technologies that would help you, like Hire is doing, to basically structure your organization, ensure that your units can manage their own P&L, that you can, basically design the right KPI and distribute it across the teams in the organization, do this EMC contracting inter-unit, and also we believe enabling inter-organizational contracting. So we believe that this new model of organizing is also questioning the boundaries of the organization. And if I can basically quote CEO Zhang once when we met, he said, companies will disappear, organization won't. So that's I think the idea we want to promote with this adoption of this ecosystem of software, to enable more organizations to do business together, to contract together on the basis of shared protocols of organizing. So for those that are interested, you can check the chat. There are the links that are relevant, but also tomorrow, 10 a.m. CET, we have a session dedicated to the EMCOS, this new software strategy that we want to tell you more about. And so really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at the rest of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simone. And now the final stop on our tour of Rendanheyi worldwide is the Netherlands and Joost from the Corporate Rebels. Joost, please, can you tell us more about what you've been working on?
Yeah, thanks. Four things, basically, for the last year. First of all, book, like we talked about 10 minutes ago. So we worked on the book quite intensively for the last year, and we hope to publish it in the beginning of next year, so the Q1 of 2022. We have been working quite intensively on a business case with some professors from INSEAD, which we will highlight in the session around 11 o'clock. We have been releasing a Corporate Rebels Academy where people can learn directly within a cohort with maximum 20 people for 6 weeks about Hire, but not only about Hire, also about other innovative management models like Buurtzorg, Holacracy, and NAIR model. And lastly, we hope that if the Corona pandemic goes down, that we can travel again and do more like in-person workshops and presentations and advising about Rendanheyi with our corporate clients.
Thanks very much, Joost, for that brief tour of the world, the Corporate Rebels. And that concludes our world tour, taking in the latest advances and experiments in Rendanheyi. Thank you to Annika Steiber for introducing us to her work, her GEA white paper, and the organizational culture and transformation in the IoT era. Thank you to William Malik for his insights on the customized implementation of Rendanheyi models in Southeast Asia. Grazie to Simone Cicero for his insights on EMC operating systems, and to Joost for his take on the world of Rendanheyi from the Corporate Rebels. Thanks also to Martin and Eric from the EFMD, and congratulations to João Domingos and Fujitsu for being the first company to receive Rendanheyi certification. Thank you for watching, and we hope you can join us for the other sessions today and tomorrow. Thank you.